Hello and welcome to the latest of my Inside Tracks. Today I'm going to explore with you a truly unusual event. Mars is the planet of passion, of thrust, enthusiasm, and currently resides in the watery Cancer. And Saturn's the planet of structures, but of course can be about boundaries and be much more to do with limitations. But the two are angling in a beautiful 120-degree alliance. But this is the first time this has happened for 10 years in two water signs. So it really is quite unique. If you're a returning viewer to my channel, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. This is very much a community, so do share any thoughts you have. I interact with each one. But Mars in Cancer, which began on the 25th of March, is when this aspect started to manifest. Because of course Saturn moved into Pisces on the 7th of March. So from the 25th of March through to the 7th of April, this influence is in effect. Now this is within 3 degrees. The exact point that they come into trine is on the 30th. And when that happened, the midpoint, as you will see on the screen now, between the Sun and the Moon, was in Gemini at 3 degrees. And in terms of the solar chart, the 3rd house, very much to do with everyday communications. But Saturn in the 12th house, very much the psychological domain, that has been limiting our nervous energy, our desire to move around, and perhaps even to interact with one another. So despite the fact that Mars and Saturn being a very balanced link gives us the opportunity to work hard but in a very determined but structured way, and to make progress by being very focused in how we do things, and gives us quite a lot of endurance. The wateriness can erode the fire of Mars through its rulership of Aries, and of course in the sign of Cancer it's in fall. And then Saturn in Pisces, also a very watery influence. So if we're using our emotional faculties, that can be a great way to actually make sense of why we may not feel that we have an enormous amount of vitality. So if you're reading elsewhere or seeing elsewhere that Mars's angle to Saturn can see steady, sustained progress, it can, but I feel at times it can seem like we're needing to walk through glue. So if you don't seem to have a surplus of vitality at the moment, don't worry too much. Also, back to that solar chart, you will see that the Moon is opposite Pluto. Now the Moon's coming to the end of its journey in the sign it governs of Cancer, but it is in an opposition to Pluto, and that creates the potential for dramas, intensity, but both positions are T-squaring with the North Node in the 2nd house of Taurus. So I think we're continuing to see quite a lot of concern over the financial environment. There has been a little bit of a recovery around stocks and shares, as I did forecast, but there's still a lot of concerns about what some of the deeper debt out of sight might be concealing. And of course, Mars and the Moon both in Cancer is very much about our environment, our homes, our family, can be to do with mortgages. And Pluto is having an instant impact in the sign of Aquarius because it is letting us know that its agenda for change can be very much to do with technology, which is not necessarily good for the human soul or for us in terms of our feeling faculties. So I feel that that Moon opposite Pluto is very insightful at this time, and that midpoint between the Sun and the Moon in Gemini, which is the balance of this event when it becomes exact, is very instructive. So as much as we may want to make progress, we may want to be dynamic, I think we need to listen to our feelings. We need to be aware of tuning into our senses and making steady, progressive steps, but not trying to get to our target too rapidly, because I actually think, despite the Aries energy which is being manifested at the moment, it can be rather counterproductive. So we just need to be very steady Eddie and staying in touch with our feelings, but also being conscious that there's not going to be a tremendous amount of nervous energy at the moment, and if we can, steer clear of any source of information which tends to drain, whether it's local gossip, politics, online debates, the white noise that batters our senses around social media. This would actually be a very good time to go into ourselves a little bit and work through some of our inner processes, to withdraw, to read a book, to have a little bit of meditation and escapism. It really will help us to recover and recharge our energies, but in a balanced way, because Saturn essentially acts as a little bit of an anchor to the more defensive energies that Mars can show in the sign of Cancer. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share or comment on this video, or if you're yet to do so, subscribe to my channel.